From despair to hope, Kevin's journey of resilience and kindness. Imagine waking up every morning with nothing but the cold pavement beneath you and the sky as your only roof. You're invisible to the world, just another face in the crowd, unnoticed, unheard, and unloved. That was the reality for a man named Kevin, who spent years surviving on the streets of Chicago. Kevin wasn't always homeless. In fact, he once had a steady job, a small apartment, and a life that many would consider ordinary. But life has a way of unraveling faster than we expect. One tragic winter, Kevin lost his job after his company downsized. With no savings and no family to fall back on, the bills piled up and eviction came knocking. He tried to find work, but the stress and desperation made it harder to present himself as the capable, confident man employers wanted. Before he knew it, Kevin was sleeping in doorways and scrounging for food in dumpsters. Kevin's world shrank to survival. He avoided eye contact with passers-by, not because he didn't care, but because their pity hurt more than their indifference. People judged him from a distance, assuming he had made poor life choices. But what they didn't see was the person he had been, or the person he could still become. One frosty night, as Kevin sat huddled against the biting wind, he heard footsteps approaching. Instinctively, he braced himself for the usual. A quick glance, maybe a coin tossed his way, or worse, a cruel comment. But this time, it was different. A woman in her late 30s knelt down beside him, holding out a warm coffee and a bag of food. She smiled, not out of pity, but with genuine kindness. Her name was Sarah. She didn't ask him the usual questions like, "What happened to you?" or "Why are you here?" Instead, she said, "I see you." 3 simple words, but to Kevin, they were a lifeline. Over the next few weeks, Sarah came by regularly. She brought food, blankets, and even a notebook and pen after learning Kevin loved to write. Slowly, Kevin began to open up. He told Sarah about his life before the streets, his dreams of becoming a writer, and the shame he felt about his current situation. What Sarah did next would change everything. She reached out to a local shelter and convinced them to give Kevin a chance, not just as a resident, but as a volunteer writer for their newsletter. It wasn't much, just a few articles here and there, but it was a start. Kevin poured his heart into those pieces, sharing stories of resilience, hope, and the harsh realities of homelessness. One day, a local journalist stumbled across one of Kevin's articles. Impressed by his raw talent and authentic voice, she decided to feature his story in a citywide publication. Overnight, Kevin's words reached thousands of readers, sparking conversations about homelessness and the importance of compassion. The ripple effect didn't stop there. A nonprofit organization focused on storytelling as a tool for social change offered Kevin a full-time position. For the first time in years, he had a steady income, a roof over his head, and a renewed sense of purpose. But here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Kevin didn't just settle for rebuilding his life. He made it his mission to help others do the same. Using his platform, he launched a project called The Invisible Pen, where people experiencing homelessness could share their stories through writing. It gave them a voice, a sense of dignity, and a way to connect with a world that often ignored them. Over time, The Invisible Pen grew into a nationwide movement, partnering with shelters, schools, and even prisons to bring stories of resilience to light. Kevin became a sought-after speaker, advocating for systemic changes to address homelessness at its roots. But through it all, he never forgot the moment that changed his life. A warm coffee, a simple meal, and 3 powerful words, "I see you." Kevin often reflects on Sarah's kindness, saying, "She didn't just give me food, she gave me hope. And hope is what makes change possible." And here's the lesson. Sometimes it's the smallest acts of kindness that create the biggest waves. You don't need to be a hero to change someone's life. You just need to see them, to show them that they matter. So the next time you pass someone who's struggling, remember Kevin's story. You might not change the world in one moment, but you could change someone's world, and that's where true heroism begins.